Okay, welcome back, Double Teamed fam. How are we doing today on this fine afternoon while you're listening to this in the morning, whatever. We do welcome two guests that we're very, very excited to have. I'm so glad we made this happen. But today we welcome Jessica Day Lover and Dr. M from Remodeled Love.
You nailed it.
I did.
I'm so proud of you.
I did. Okay. Yeah.
That was beautiful. Thank you for the introduction.
Yes. I try. With the intro, sometimes I need less than 6 words and I can remember.
You got it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we all sound good. So, okay. Oh,
I was going to say thank you guys for joining us.
yes.
I'm glad thank you for emailing Cammie.
Yeah.
When I asked you to, because I was like, there's no way I'm going to remember to set this up. She does all of our scheduling. So thank you for working through that. I appreciate it.
You have a well-oiled machine. I felt like I was getting double teamed through the booking the whole time. I appreciate it as someone who does all of my own stuff. I'm like, wow, I could totally use somebody helping me with this. It was great because it was one of those, if you're ever in LA, reach out and you don't know if it's real.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, if it's just like, we should hang out sometime. But I was like, I'm going to do it. And now we're here.
I know. I'm very happy to
Thank
have
you.
you here. Yeah. Well, okay. So a few little icebreaker questions.
Yes.
If you watch porn, what's your favorite porn category?
I love this question. It changes based on where I'm at in my cycle.
Oh.
Yes.
I want to hear this then. Okay, what?
Am I the first person to ever say that?
Yes.
Well, when I'm ovulating, cream pie
Love
compilation because I don't feel like going on the journey. I want
That is amazing.
like
I
I'm looking
love
for
that.
compilation.
Yes.
And closer to my cycle, just
Like menstruation.
closer to menstruating, just lesbian POV
Love
usually.
that. Okay.
And I'm really into. I've never said this. You guys are getting the exclusive.
Love
Let's
it.
hear
Have you
Pour
seen
the tea.
Czech Glory Wall? Like Czechoslovakia?
No.
Okay. I'm
She's like,
confirming
"Let
that
me
the question
culture
is,
you."
what is your favorite genre of porn, right? That was the question?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm just making what if I just overshared? What was the question? Okay.
No. I've never heard of this.
So Czech Glory Wall, so CZECH.
Yeah.
Czech. It's you walk in, it's men. I have no idea if it's real, but it looks real.
Okay.
That it's a club that men are walking into, and there are women behind walls, and so they're all different. So there's one just the legs and pussy are exposed, and the rest of the torso is behind a wall. So there's one that you can eat out. There's one who's bent over, and you can take her from behind, and then there's a couple others at different heights.
This is insane.
Let me write this down. Hold on.
Okay. Have you never seen this?
No.
This is the first time I saw it, it was that initial gut check, where intellectually you're like, this is not okay.
Yeah.
But somatically your body is like, I like this.
As a bisexual, I would love that.
Oh, girl.
If it was a mix of men and women, just and I just got to go and do whatever I wanted to each of their genitals. Oh, that sounds amazing.
Pick your own candy store.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Precisely.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go look this up.
I have a major free use kink, so I really want to be on the other side of the wall.
I was gonna say I would do both. I would do both. I love that. Okay, Dr. M.
Okay, I would say I share the cream pie porn preference.
Really? Love
with-
it. Okay.
With Jess, that's a big one we share, and DP, which is another preference that we share.
Okay.
Actually, we're very compatible in our porn viewing.
Do y'all watch porn together?
Yeah, oh yeah. We have an 80-inch TV.
Love that. I'll never forget the time I was dating a guy and he installed a projector that was across from his bed on this giant wall, and he had literally just installed it, and we lay down and I was like, have you watched porn on this yet? And he was like, I hadn't even thought of that. He was like, you're the
What?
first person that even suggested that. And I was like, what?
He's lying.
And he was like, let's do it. So we watched porn on it and it was super hot. I loved it. But I haven't watched porn with a partner. It's been about a year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a really long time.
Okay, but icebreaker, can I get the answer from you two?
Oh my God, absolutely.
I'm gonna. Oh man, I hate my favorite porn category. 'Cause
That's such a thing.
yeah.
Wait, what is
I feel
it?
like I just. Okay, let me explain a little bit.
Totally.
I have two. I love hentai. I haven't watched hentai in a little bit. My porn use usually, I only watch porn when I masturbate, and I don't masturbate a lot. So, anyways, but that's besides the point. So I haven't watched hentai in a while, but I love it, especially the Lara Croft series.
Yes.
On Pornhub.
I'm with you on
Love
that one. Yeah.
I love this for you.
Thank you. I love it for me too. And then my second one, which is like the porn category that I've been watching since I started watching porn over a decade ago. I just type in the search bar. I don't even want to say it.
Get it out.
Big tits, blonde, lesbian. That's it.
Yes.
We have the exact same. That's also mine.
But like, I hate it because at first it's usually MILF porn that pops up. And it's like, no, then I gotta go be specific. I'm like, okay, massage, big tits. You know, like.
Yeah, that main chick who's always doing the mommy thing, like, I'm not super into her.
Brandy
but,
Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. She's in every MILF one.
And she's
And she's
powerful.
great. I love her. And she's
thank
beautiful.
God she
Yeah.
exists, but not what I'm looking
I
for.
can't do the MILF. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, second icebreaker.
Wait, what's yours?
Oh, I said the same. Hentai.
Oh,
and,
that's right. Okay.
Well, for me, I do blonde with big tits is definitely one of mine, but also lesbian massage. Favorite.
I just got into lesbian massage, and yeah.
Oh my
Massage
God.
porn in general, big thumbs up.
Yeah.
This sounds terrible, and you know, it's like the taboo part of it, but like, I like it when like the girl is like hella confused and like, wait, no, I don't want to, you know,
What's
like,
going on? Yeah.
Every single time that happens, I'm like, this just got better, and I'm like, that's fucked up in my mind, but
That's not what I came here for, but it feels really good. I don't know what's happening. Absolutely.
It's like CNC.
yeah, I'm
exactly.
huge
I only
CNC.
explore
Exactly,
them in
yeah.
porn. It's okay.
Okay, well, I really want, so for the second icebreaker, I want to know favorite and worst place you've had sex.
Oh.
Bonus points if it's together.
Favorite and worst. I'm going to need a minute. I feel like I should have these answers.
Can I give
ready.
you mine in the meantime
Yes,
to maybe draw upon
please,
some
yes.
inspiration?
Yeah,
Okay. Favorite place I ever had sex was a sand dune off the side of the PCH, on like in between Malibu and I don't know, San Luis Obispo, I guess. But yeah, on the PCH when you're driving north, there's a big old sand dune, and this one guy and we had known each other for like a year, never met up, and then it was Valentine's Day. Neither of us had Valentine's Day plans. He was like, you want to go fuck somewhere? I was like, sure. He was like, there's this sand dune that's kind of equidistant for both of us. Why don't we meet there and, you know, do that? And so we did, and it was phenomenal. I will never forget it. It was so fun. It was under a full moon. But yeah, it was great. That was my favorite. And then worst, I don't know. I've had a lot of parking garage sex, and I can't say that it always just ends up being super stressful.
Yes. It's stressful, and you're like, I just want this to happen, but ultimately this would be better somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, so I would say the worst was the parking lot of a Gold's Gym.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I would. Go ahead.
My worst, probably the parking lot of the person I was with, their former school.
Oh.
In the middle of the night. But the cops definitely did roll by. So yeah.
Love that. Okay. What
Like
about
they
favorite?
worked there, or they?
No, they went to that school, back when they were school age.
Oh, got it.
And it was near their house.
Got it.
What about your favorite?
Yeah, what about your favorite?
Favorite.
And it can be your bed.
Yeah.
Well,
have a
that
favorite
sex party
together.
we were at.
The sex party. No, the sex party.
He just cream pied me in a sex swing at a party. It was the
Definitely.
first time we've ever done anything like that, and it was peak.
I love that. Okay.
Isn't that great?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, so a
that
sex
wins.
swing at a sex party. Love it. What about you? Has this drawn upon your inspiration?
Yes, thank you. So sex swing, I wasn't even thinking about that. I think my worst is actually more partner specific because this guy was such a douchebag, and I don't love public risky sex at all. Even though I'm an exhibitionist, I don't like risky exhibitionism. It gives me anxiety, and all I am thinking is, I
You don't wanna
can't
get
enjoy
caught.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's actually ruining me. I already have problems with embodiment and being in my body. And so if I'm stressed at all, I'm just going through the motions and I'm not connecting. And I'm like, this would be so much better in a room where we're not at risk.
Yeah.
But like it was actually at High Sierra Music Festival. And I have a weird way of like manifesting things when I need them, like spaces or bathrooms. And we were looking for a place to fuck, and we broke into this building that was where staff was sleeping that weren't on shift. And we found our way into the cafeteria and got under a table, and there was just a bunch of people right outside the window right there. And it sounds really fun and hot, but it was actually just terrible the whole time. I was just really on edge, and couldn't believe we got away with it. The best besides the swing was like the first person that I ever had fire sexual chemistry with. And it was such a long journey. I was like 22.
Aww.
And I was living in the Netherlands, and I met this boy. I was doing stand-up comedy, and he accidentally came to my show, and we just one of those love stories. And then we spent this magical 2 weeks together, but I lived in a really teeny apartment with paper thin walls with like 3 roommates. So in order to have sex, we had to go out of our apartment and go down this trail to this bench in this park.
Okay.
And normally we would go in the middle of the night and we would just fuck on this bench, and it was amazing, and nobody would walk by, but sure enough, we're fucking one night, and 2 people come walking by with their dog, and we just froze. Like I was fully on top of them. We're like, I'm just gonna pretend like I'm just sitting here and doing your hair, and then waited for them to finish walking by, and then we continued making love on this bench, and it was glorious.
I love that.
Thank you.
Was he Dutch?
I've had sex on a bench.
What, was he American?
Yeah, he was backpacking.
Backpacking.
It was a 2-week romance. Love that.
Yeah. It
That's so
lasted.
serendipitous.
He's actually who introduced me to non-monogamy, but I didn't remember it till years later.
Aww.
Yeah, no, it was the first time I was ever in love with someone who also loved me back equally. And it was just so magical. And we traveled, we hitchhiked together for a couple weeks, and also had sex in a Hungarian bathhouse.
Love that.
In front of I was just sitting on his lap. Nothing to see here, just sitting on his lap.
That's so cute. I feel like that kind of reminds me of my... Okay, that right there reminded me, I want to say one of my worst, like, it wasn't sex. We weren't having sex, but he was fingering me. This was in high school.
Oh, God.
I was at this guy's house, and we were, like, sitting on a couch with his entire family.
Hell
and
yeah.
he put a pillow over my lap and started fingering me while we're all talking to his family. I hated it. Loved and hated it, but that would be like my least favorite, aside from all the parking lot stress sex that I've had. My favorite location, the guy was really fucking hot too. Actually, he was the bartender at a sex party, and it was at this famous real estate agent's house in the hills, and the bartender and I fucked on the lawn on this like bench, and that was probably my favorite.
I remember I was actually at that party, and I was roughly 40 feet away, and I was just like, Camilla, I want to go home. And I was just waiting there, making sure I couldn't see or hear anything, pissed off, like tapping my foot, just waiting for her to finish. I was like, come on, it's 3 a.m. I want to go home.
He was so hot.
I remember that. Anyways, well, thank you for the icebreakers. I appreciate both of your responses.
Yeah.
I've never had an icebreaker like that.
Yours was touching. That last story was touching.
Well, and actually, it's a great segue. So he introduced you to non-monogamy. I want to know a little bit more about that. How did he present it?
So like I said, I'm 22. I'm a late bloomer. I was very boy crazy my whole life. Like all I wanted was, to be having sex, and I wanted a boyfriend. Like if you read my elementary school diaries, I'm just like crazy obsessed, but I was very invisible and also now realize autistic and probably very weird and didn't know. So I never had like a deep connection with anyone and thought something was wrong with me for sure. And if someone did like me, I was not attracted to them. And so I never had something that crossed over. And then here comes this boy. His name was Jesse. So we were Jess and Jesse. And it was just like a movie, I tell you. Like he was looking for a drag show, but he walks into my show and I'm doing stand up and he thinks I'm funny. And, he's hitchhiking and just winging it, so he never knows where he's staying that night, so he comes and stays with me. And so we have this really intense love story, and it's so so magical, and we were totally falling for each other. And he says, have you ever heard about this book called The Ethical Slut?
Oh my God.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, this is 2008. You know, so I'm 22, just graduated college, and
How progressive of him. Okay, so he read The Ethical Slut.
and he told me about it, and it just didn't land at the time. And at that time, you know, I'm like, well, I know that we're not going to be anything because this is, you know, whatever, and it's gonna, as soon as we're done traveling, it's gonna be over. But it just, you know, he told me about it because then I knew when he left me, you know, he was going to continue adventuring, and hitchhiking, you end up with a lot of love stories. That's just how it happens. And so I knew as soon as he left me, he was going to go on to his next one. And yeah, so he was telling me about it and planting seeds. And I was just like, cool. I want to marry you right now, though. So, yeah.
And then did you go on to read The Ethical Slut later, or?
It was so weird because then, you know, however many years later, I meet my husband. And when you listen to the first 2 episodes of the Remodeled Love podcast, my husband and I are telling our polyamory story.
Yeah.
And in that story, I say that it was 2 friends of ours, 4 years into mine and my husband's relationship, who we were going out on an adventure, and we were going to tube from Tahoe down to Reno, which is a really fun thing to do. And they were like, I think they were hitting on us. They were like, have you ever heard of this thing called polyamory? And it was that moment that I was like, it felt like that's what I tell is the first time I ever heard of it. And it wasn't until later that I was like, oh my God, that is not the first time. But you know, it just, something doesn't turn on until the right time.
The universe was just breadcrumbing you.
It was, yeah.
I love it. Now, Dr. M, I'm curious, what was your introduction into non-monogamy?
So I had been in a few relationships where we'd kind of been monogamous, but just the possibility was always
You're talking about
there.
your old partner.
Yeah.
When you say
Well, and
we.
even my old partner.
Yeah, okay.
And hadn't really ever turned into anything, but during the pandemic, we had a very close friend group that kept getting closer and joking about how we were throwing a sex party when the pandemic was over and we could all be in the same place. And that turned into kind of a relationship with some friends of ours, and we became formally non-monogamous at that point, and decided polyamory was kind of the right flavor of that for me, or the possibility of having deeper connections. And yeah, from there, those partners didn't last, like sometimes partners don't, I suppose. But not too long thereafter, I met Jess. And
Listen, this fucker was on the apps for 1 week and met me.
no, like, yeah. Well, no, like I talked to 2 people. I talked to Allie and then you.
Yeah,
was it.
you know, he's not a spiritual person, but you are such a favored man. I am
no
telling
complaints.
you, I was on these apps for 10 years before I met you.
Wait, so timeline wise, how long have y'all known each other and been together?
We've been together for a year. It was a year in January.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
so a year
Okay.
and a half almost. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And so for our listeners, especially any that aren't like familiar with your like relationship structure, like what does your current relationship structure look like?
Okay.
So like what partners do you have? What? Yeah.
You know, I always just assume everybody knows who I am. Of course they don't. So I am married to my baby daddy,
Okay.
Joe. My, co-partner of Remodeled Love. So we have been together for 14 years, married for 10, polyamorous for 10. We're in our 11th year of polyamory.
Wow.
And we have 2 kids, a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. So we were, polyamorous for half a decade by the time we had kids.
Love that.
And none of us had a serious relation. So we were actively polyamorous for a decade, but I had what I called a 3-month curse. Reno is a small ass city.
But I know
first of
exactly
all.
what you mean by the
Yeah.
3-month curse. And that's really around the 3-month mark is always when you find out the truth.
It really is. And I think too, it was like, people always talk about scarcity mindset. Like scarcity is real depending on your marginalizations and where you live and what you're looking for. But I was also like, I think my husband is an enigma because that's a very healthy, sustainable, forever relationship. But everyone else I dated, no offense to all my exes who may be listening to this, those were all me working out some karma, you know?
I get it.
Yeah,
We've
so
all
it's
been
like
there.
the marriage is the super healthy thing, and then I go have all these really toxic, dysfunctional partners that never make it past
It's them,
3
not
months.
you.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
of course.
100%.
I know, it's for sure me. Well, and so I never had anything that lasted very long until this one. My partner before him lasted a year, and that was fun and beautiful, but it was a daddy issue for sure.
Okay.
And ended beautifully and consciously. So he is my first other forever person.
Love it.
And then also in our home is me and Dr. M, my husband slash baby daddy, and his other forever partner, who goes by Ash on our platform.
Okay.
We call each other sis. That's the other love of my life. We are not partners. We are just sisters.
Metas.
I love that.
Okay. And so it's very kitchen table.
Extremely.
We call it cat door polyamory.
Oh yeah.
Cat doorbell.
Did you guys see that super viral?
Wait, no.
Wait, no, I
Explain.
haven't.
I want to know what this
Okay,
is.
so cat door polyamory. It's now in the lexicon. I just had it's the only super viral TikTok. This is my dream, to have a TikTok go viral that is not hated by anyone on any side of the algorithm. And this one got close. So it's just me, and we have a little cat door. The owners of our house were big cat people, so our bedroom door has a little cat door. And we are on our date night. We have one date night a week where we're just in our room. Usually I am not a mother that night. We are not on duty, and my husband and if my meta's home are on the kids that night. And he had just had a really, really, really long day with the kids. He was in rad dad, super dad mode, and we were up in our room, you know, with the door locked, getting ready for sexy time. And all of a sudden, I'll show you the TikTok. It's hilarious. The little flap opens, and my husband's like, "Hey, babe, can I have those pork chops in the fridge?" And I'm like, "Is that all you came to ask me?" And he's like, "Well, I know that those are your special pork chops, and you have a special diet, and I know that, you know, you made these for your special diet, so I just want to make sure if I can have them or not." And I was like, "Yeah, babe, of course you have the pork chops." And then he just disappears. He's just, "Thanks." And he just disappears. And the comedic exit, this just very physical comedy, the way he was like, "Sweet, bye." And he just leaves and the flap closes. And so we say it's the next level beyond kitchen table polyamory is cat door polyamory.
I love it. That's
hilarious.
great. That's
Did he enjoy the pork chops?
He did.
Yeah, they were good pork chops.
Everybody got porked.
So I have so many questions, and I'm sure like anyone
Please.
listening would probably have the same. Okay, so now are you all under one roof?
We are.
Wow. How big is this house?
Gosh, well, you know what's so funny is before this, we didn't all officially live together in this 1,100 square foot teeny, almost 100-year-old house in Reno. But it was like he lost his lease, so it was like he was just staying with us till he figured out his next move. And my meta moved out because we were drowning in some, you know, having 2 kids, and one's medically complex. And I was on my deathbed, and she came out. So we were all just kind of like incidentally living in this house, and we lost our house to developers. Back in the fall. We were in that house for 13 years, and
Oh, wow.
they finally were selling it, so we had to, because Reno is as expensive as LA.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a
What
Silicon
for?
Valley. Well, because it's 4 hours east from the Bay.
Yeah.
And so all that Silicon Valley money, first what started happening is people were like, "Oh, well, we can just go buy all these cheap homes in Reno for investments." But then when the pandemic hit, people, and we're working remotely, they were like, "Oh, well, screw the Bay. We're going to go live out here." And so it just raised. So now there's a housing crisis in Reno, and prices are comparable to LA. And
Wow.
so in order to live, we had to move in together. It takes 4 incomes.
I know. It's like that meme, monogamy in this economy.
It really
can't-
is, yeah.
Couldn't be me. I'm just kidding. But
So
like,
it's a 3,000 square foot house.
They're about
It's
the
it's not
decent
huge.
size.
It's compared to what we have been living in for the last 13 years. It feels like a mansion, and it's pretty glorious.
Yeah. It has 2 primary bedrooms. This is like
Yeah.
polyamory dream house.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's 2
'cause we have-
primaries.
Yeah.
wait, so 2 primary. Who sleeps with who? Or do y'all rotate?
This is one of the biggest questions, and we keep it behind a paywall on our Patreon.
Oh, really?
No, I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
I was like, I'll pay right now.
We really do, but yeah.
No, because people ask all the time, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put this on our Patreon, and y'all can join. It's. I understand that it is the most curious thing to people. So when my meta first moved out, this was my husband's first very intense, very like this is the other love of his life, and in many ways, more so. No, I don't like the word more. My husband and I have a very platonic love, and it kind of always was. So we are no longer sexually active with each other. That is something that I came to him after we had our second baby and kind of came out that was not something that I felt in our spirit anymore.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I don't think it ever was. I just don't think I had a permission to understand that, because that is for sure my husband and the only person I could have ever had babies with.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it is sex. I just don't think we were ever compatible. It's just not in our karma, so to speak. And so meeting his other partner, it's like she's me, but they have a very passionate sexual connection. So when she moved out, he was like, "Listen, love ya. I'ma be in Ash's bedroom,"
Yeah.
And so. And I was like, we've been married. We've been together for 14 years. I was like, king bed to myself. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
And then, 3 or 4 months later, I met him.
Love it.
So it's the most anticlimactic question. Because I definitely know, I have colleagues who rotate rooms. Like Polyamory. Don't know if you follow them, but they're a quad with 5 kids.
Yes.
And the men rotate every other night.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so you two sleep together and then they sleep together. Love that. It's funny what you said about the platonic love, because I definitely relate to that. I was married and we were non-monogamous, and then we turned polyamorous. And then we actually ended up divorcing when he wanted to have children with his girlfriend. And that was mainly because she wasn't sure how she felt about she had never experienced non-monogamy, and she wasn't sure how she felt about starting a family with someone that had a wife. And I was down to at least give it a try, but he also was just I don't know, maybe this is getting too messy, let's just part ways, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine, let's do it. But we were together for 10 years, or 9.5, and we had a lot of love for each other, and the sex was good. It's not as if it wasn't, but I always said at the core of our relationship we were best friends. And so and I never married him for the sex or the passion or any of that. I married him because he was my best friend, and I loved him, and that was the person that I felt the safest with. And so, but I knew when him and his girlfriend started seeing each other, I knew that they had a lot better sex than we did. And I knew that I had other people in my life that I had a lot better sex with, just because we just had more passionate connections with other people than we did with each other. But at the end of the day, we were best friends, and that platonic love was very, very present. And so, and I do think it can morph. I think in the beginning, the first maybe year or so of our relationship, it was very hot and passionate and intensive.
Totally.
But then it once that kind of wore passed or whatever, it settled into the more best friends, platonic kind of thing. And that's kind of where it stayed. And it wasn't until we were open that I realized the sex we have is good, but our connection isn't about that. So yeah, I relate to that 100%.
That you just described it completely. Hot take. I don't think you should marry the person you have the hottest sex with.
I agree with you 100%. I think marriages work best when you both are truly best friends.
Yeah, and people say that pejoratively when they find out that my husband and I no longer have a sexual relationship. People on the internet will and sometimes even polyamorous people will be like, "Oh, so you're just friends then?" And it's sure. I don't think so. It's so much more than that. But also, is that a bad thing? Friendships are sustainable. Marriages end in divorce all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because I have a lot of issues, but the best sex I have is usually with very toxic dynamics.
Girl, I get it.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to marry, and that could just be me.
Yeah.
And so in my life, I'm like, marry the queer platonic partner, marry the person that you're like, listen, I could live with you and survive capitalism with you forever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go fuck these 4 hoes over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. 100%.
The complexity of relationships, I feel like, especially when I hear of your setup, I'm like, oh, I get it. And not because, like, I mean, I've been engaged before that was monogamous, but like, take, for example, my relationship with Nikki. Like, she's my sister, she's my best friend, she's my business partner. And
Roommate.
sometimes, like, yeah, roommate. And sometimes it does feel like a marriage in the sense of that, like, I could raise an entire family with her, just her and I, you know? I always say whenever I meet whoever I'm going to be with for the rest of my life, like, they got to be best friends with her too, because like,
If you want to be my lover,
yeah, she's like,
gotta get with my friends.
yeah, she's my other partner. Like, that is my other,
Life
love
partner.
of my life. Yeah.
That is
And there's
so
obviously,
fucking sweet.
Yeah.
By the way, so
Yeah,
you
that's
guys,
beautiful.
this
and
is
we barely hug.
this is like me, but that's me and my meta.
Yeah.
Like, and she heals a sister wound for me. We actually heal sister wounds for each other.
I love
But, yeah.
that.
And
No,
our
and-
view societally too of marriage is so reductive and so mononormative. Like,
Yeah.
why aren't we forming the partnerships that work for us? Why aren't we forming relationships, or why are we neglecting relationships that aren't fitting this one mold? Because that is a relationship that can be your life platonic support partner, the people that you need. And it's just,
Yeah.
I was thinking about this the other day, because like, I feel like I've, over the past few years, have realized just how important platonic love is through the best friends that I have. Not just Nikki, but also like my rave fam, for example. They are some of the closest humans I have in my life. And,
I'd raise a family with them.
exactly.
I'd
It's
move
like,
in with them.
We joke
Yeah.
around how much, towards the end when we're all ready to retire, we're all going to, get this huge compound together and live as a huge unit. And it's like, because at the end of the day, like, platonic love is what gets you through life.
Yeah.
It is. I
Yeah.
agree.
Well, I
So-
think that's where the true revolution is in decentering romantic, sexual, monogamous love and recentering communal
Yes.
love
Yeah.
and support.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Now, do you have any other partners outside of Jess?
currently I don't
Okay.
have any other partners. And that's more just a function of
Okay.
life stage. I'm kind of in an early career stage of a newer career.
Okay.
Getting just totally swamped by it. It's one of those silly,
Yeah.
You have to work too much kind of BS.
So you don't have the
Careers.
capacity for it?
So yeah, it's a lot of capacity. I'm terrible at dating as well.
Dating
So,
sucks.
yeah.
We're both in burnout, which is such a hard thing to be in as a polyamorous person. Just burnout.
It happens. Now, I'm curious if I may ask questions about your children.
Please, yeah, totally.
Okay. Now, because you guys were already non-monogamous when you had your children.
Yep.
And so, like, how soon did you begin, like, the introduction of, like, hey, like, this is our lifestyle? Like, what was that a conversation? Was that just kind of like how they grew up? Like, how did that come to be for anyone that's not familiar?
Yeah, it's one of our most common questions is how do you explain polyamory
Yeah.
to your kids? And we're kind of the wrong people to ask because what we have to explain to our kids is monogamy because it's all they've known.
Society expects you to be with one person.
Well, yeah, and it kind of confused my kid. Because he's planning on marrying 2 of his friends. They have a little quad. He's 6.
That is so cute.
It's so cute because I hate it when adults do that to kids, but when they do it themselves, it is so cute. So he's also on a gender journey right now as well, and so he's figuring some stuff out. But he doesn't have a concept, so he knows that we have multiple partners, and he knows we're on dates.
Okay.
So a question he understands is how many grown-ups do you have? And so
Oh,
he'll tell you he has 4 grown-ups.
I love that.
Yeah, and we have such a unique setup because my meta is very much a mom, whereas Dr. M is more of like a fun uncle. But it's so ambiguous.
Bonus dad.
You are
I like that
very
term.
bonus dad. That's much better than fun uncle.
I get so much of the fun and don't have to do as much of the discipline or, play that role.
And he maintains his boundaries.
Well, I was going to ask if that was intimidating for you to come into a dynamic with like children already there, just because like I know for me, now I always joke, you know, that I would make a great stepfather, but like
It's kind of hot in a weird way.
but at the same time, I just like, I would be intimidated as hell if I had a partner that already had children, because I just don't think I'm actually that great with kids. So I'm curious like what that was like for you.
Yeah, it was interesting because at that point I had decided I didn't want children of my own. I'd never been super driven towards having children of my own. I always was kind of like, if I had been with the person who wanted to have children, I probably would have. But all of the people I had been with were like very child free, even more so than me. So at that point, you know, I wasn't looking for children, but we kind of came together and formed this little family unit in such a natural way, where there wasn't a lot of expectation on me for any sort of child rearing responsibility. Frankly, they, you know, Jess always will say she's drowning, but they do an amazing job raising their children and providing a really safe and beautiful environment for them.
Love that.
We established really good communication about it, and I think I'm pretty flexible too, which doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've just always been really respectful of my boundaries and where I'm comfortable and where I'm not. And so I get to do fun stuff with the kids and teach them how to mountain bike. And, you know, I'm going to get to teach them to ski next year probably, and, you know, do the fun things and take them climbing and stuff. And then when meltdowns are happening, I'm not usually the right person to handle that. I do my best to hold space for them and share what I know about emotional regulation, or especially her oldest and I are very similar.
It's weird. They have the same sun and the same moon.
Yeah.
Love. Wait,
yeah.
what are your sun signs?
Okay, thank you for bringing this up. This is very important.
I was actually going to ask what the whole like quad situation is.
I would love to tell you.
Let's hear it.
So I am a Sagittarius sun, Cancer moon, Cancer rising. I have no earth in my chart. I am all fire and water.
Wow. Okay.
And then blend in autism, and it's just hi. And my partner, I have a thing for air signs. So my partner is a Libra. We don't know his moon.
Libra sun though. We're Libra suns.
Really?
Yeah, and Libra moons.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we also love relationships. It sucks.
Like we love relationships.
I want to be in one now. You know,
I'm not in a
you
relationship.
calm
Oh my
down.
God, that's
Yeah.
so
And then we have an
funny.
Aries rising, so it's
Yeah.
like we also like independence.
I see.
To a
It's
certain
I feel like my Sagittarius and my Cancer are so up against each other, but I love it so much. But so my husband is a Libra, and Dr. M and my oldest are both Aquarius suns with Capricorn moons.
Oh, that's good moon compatibility for you guys.
I know.
Yes, yes. You're like, yeah, I know.
So it's, you know, I'm a very woo person, and so a very spiritual person, and so I feel
We're super
like
woo-woo.
oh, great.
Yeah, you're in the right place.
We can go there completely. So I feel like, yes, bonus dad, but also that was not an accident. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of step parents will tell you this, that the universe very much brought them kids through this other channel. Adopted parents will tell you the same thing. And so they are very similar. And my youngest, they'll mirror each other in a way that, you know, happens when you have a kid, and they are showing you your shadow and mirroring you back. So they're very similar. It's really cute, actually.
I love that.
And when he's in dad mode, it's really sexy.
Yeah. So, and I think, you know, at this stage of her 6-year-old's life, you know, I don't have the right skills to relate the things I've learned about how I cope with being me in the world and the things that are similar. But I hope in the future maybe I'll get to share that more in a way that resonates.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Wait, what's Ash's sign?
So I don't know Ash's moon or rising, which makes me feel like a terrible meta, but that bitch is a Pisces.
Ooh, Libra and Pisces.
And so is my youngest.
oh, how funny.
They're both Pisces.
Okay,
Wow.
but Pisces with your Cancer moon rising, that's nice too.
Yeah, that's
It's
really nice.
so nice. We always say, like, it's so good that we met each other at this stage of our lives when we have worked through a lot of that personality disorder. You know what I mean? The very manipulative water stuff.
Yeah.
Because now we're just like this. But yeah, we just get each other on such a deeply watery emotional level. It's amazing.
Love that.
Yeah.
We have Scorpio Mars and Mercury. So we
My
have,
Venus is in Scorpio.
oh,
Love.
yeah.
That's a great placement.
That is a good placement. Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
But
It's
I
so
understand what
underrated.
you mean by the watery, that watery work you got to do to get past the level of like, oh, I know how to manipulate.
Yeah.
Air signs have to work on that too.
So I'm curious, what do y'all operate on, like a Google Calendar? What does organization and logistics look like? This is my Virgo Venus talking.
And it's so hot and so out of my scope. So I have none of that. So we, none of our calendars fucking sync, but we try.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do a lot of weekly check-ins. And so like every Sunday, especially my husband and I will go through the week. We now have a marker board where we're putting work schedules and stuff like that. Each of us have a weekly date so Dr. M and I have a standing weekly date, and then my husband and his partner have a standing weekly date, and then occasionally my Meta or Dr. M will give my husband and I a night to go out, but we're just in the thick of having very young kids right now, so it's hard to get time together, and we work together. We're both home all day. We have a lot of time together, so it's fine. But like logistically, we're just very much in survival right now, in survival mode. So yeah,
Because you said they're 6 and 3.
6 and 3, and the youngest is very medically complex. There's a lot of issues there. So we're trying to put it all together. And I don't know how, you're talking about your ex's partner not being sure that she wanted to have kids with someone else in the picture, which I respect, but I want to go and be like, girl, this is my trauma talking, but like, girl, no, you need more people.
Yeah.
Don't have kids, just 2 people.
It's hard.
I still offered, even though we're divorced now, and granted, there's been enough time now where like, we're all kind of mending the relationships again. But I told him, I was like, if you guys ever need a babysitter, let me know. Because that was always kind of my dream, that like, because I didn't want children, and so when my husband expressed that he did, I was like, okay, well, like you can go have them with someone else. Like I don't care, I'll help, And so like that was kind of the vision that I had, and I think it's okay that that's not like what it is anymore now. But like I told him, I was like, I'm still happy to help, And his daughter's adorable. I've met her; she's just so cute. And it's funny because I know you're woo woo, and I had, before he ever told me that they were pregnant, 7 dreams that they were pregnant with a girl.
That just gave me chills.
Yeah, and then he told me one day that they were pregnant, and then when it came time to tell me the gender, I was like, so what is it? Do you know yet? He was like, you already know. He was like, your dreams told you.
I wonder if that means there's a connection there, or if you're just that psychic.
I don't know. I looked at the birth charts. They definitely have a very strong connection. Him and his daughter. I definitely think that was very fated based on what I saw on the charts. But as far as like my role in it, it's funny because she's my same son, so we're both Libra sons. And so I don't know. I'll have to look at it again. I didn't think it was like, and it stood that far out. I think it was just because of his and I connections. It just kind of like channeled through me.
Both of my children were ordained to me.
Oh,
I was summoned to have them. Yes.
I love that. I love that you feel that way. Do you want any more children? You're like, no.
First of all, I'm old. Secondly,
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 38.
You're not old.
It's
I thought
it's considered a
mid-30s,
geriatric pregnancy.
My mom had
Old for children.
That is literally what it is called.
my mom had our youngest brother at 39.
How old are you guys?
30.
30.
Okay. Yeah, so it's considered a geriatric pregnancy. I was done after my last one because I find parenting very hard. I'm somebody who didn't know I was neurodivergent until I had neurodivergent kids. Okay. Which is a very traumatizing experience because you learn by being like, why am I so overwhelmed and why are you so overwhelmed?
And then you're like, oh.
And you're like, oh. And then the nuclear family is completely fucking traumatizing. And so I really didn't want to have a second one, but there was the most spiritual journey that summoned me to have my second. And
I love that.
yeah, it's quite a powerful story actually. And then he's had a lot of issues, the main of which involves being sleep deprived. So he has sleep apnea. And so he's not really slept in 3 years that he's been alive. And so I am very traumatized and very tired. And my husband is 43. So we are very much done. I definitely, when I was younger, I felt called to have multiple men's babies. That was like a dream of mine.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know if I just thought it was so subversive or it was just something I was really called to do, but I think I might have just been, channeling that I just want to live in that village style, that non-nuclear family style where everyone's kids are everyone's kids.
I'm
you
curious.
Read Sex at Dawn? Is that book?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I
Sex
haven't
and
read
Dawn.
it, but yes, that is. Yeah.
It's a good book. I've read it.
It's in the bookshelf, baby.
Have you read it?
Yes.
It's great, isn't it?
That was a very early stage in my non-monogamous journey, long before I was ever non-monogamous. Was reading that book and going,
Really?
"Well, I'm very much aligned with this. This makes
Yeah.
sense." And I'm a scientist.
Love.
I respect the woo-woo, but I'm not a woo-woo person. So
But he does. He joins my coven for moon ceremonies. It's
That's supportive
cute.
of you. I love
and
that.
he is a wizard. So he just doesn't understand that that's what he's doing because I'll channel ceremony and ritual and I'll be like, baby, I need you to visualize this. And then he'll come out of, meditation and he'll be like, oh yeah, I was moving the molecules around and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, that is woo. You were doing magic.
yeah, it's just.
But
Anyway.
we'll
On the
call
deal,
him a
yeah.
scientist so he feels
Yeah, I'm fine with both,
Exactly.
honestly.
And he'll pull tarot and he does the thing where he's like, whoa, baby, look at my tarot spread. And that's how
We
it
do
starts.
tarot too. I love it.
We should have brought the tarot.
I know we should have brought the tarot cards. So I'm curious. So say for example, say if you found another other lover and they wanted to come in, what if they wanted children? Like are there boundaries around like other children coming in? I'm curious.
We have never visited that.
We've not. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry to bring that up.
No, no. That's
It's
fine.
only because I have assumed that he doesn't want kids.
Yeah. And
So but yeah, what if you fell in love with someone and they came in and they're like, okay, I want children now.
yeah. They'd have to find someone else to have them with.
Okay.
Yeah, he has a vasectomy.
Oh.
Yeah. And I am also sterile.
Oh, very
Because, ladies, listen. Second baby came out. I was done. Girl had a cream pie fantasy.
Yeah.
I'm not messing around.
I get it.
I said, take those tubes out.
How was
I
that
get
process?
that.
Was it easy?
Life-changing. Well, I mean, it's terrifying because it's surgery. But yes, it
Yeah.
was very easy, minus the social aspect where they have to ask you a jillion times, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you
Yeah.
sure you can't take it back? Are you sure? Whereas men are like, you want a vasectomy? Here you go. So that part was annoying. But
And then does your husband have a vasectomy as well?
he just breaking Remodeled Love exclusive news.
Let's
He
hear
just
it.
got one.
That's
week.
exciting.
Yeah.
Does Ash want kids?
Yes.
Oh, is that a point of contention?
It is beautiful. It is a beautiful, I wouldn't call it contention, but it is one of the most incredible things I have ever seen. Two emotionally intelligent, just it's heart-wrenching, raw human polyamory in action.
Yeah.
And we have not talked about it on our platform yet.
Okay.
And I don't want to speak for them, but I think
You don't have to answer it, yeah.
well, no. I think it will be one of the most incredible, riveting pieces of media we ever make when we are getting ready to sit down and tell our audience this story and this journey because it was on the table when she moved out,
Okay.
and then that door slowly closed and it has been a journey, but at the end of the day, we are family. And should she have a baby with someone else or IVF on her own, we would raise those kids with her the same way that they have raised our kids with us.
That's beautiful.
I love that.
And I think that very much is the answer for what you'd asked me originally too. Is
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have kids with someone necessarily, but if they have kids, they'd be very. If the relationship reached that stage and that's what we all desired, they'd be very much part of the village as well.
Nice.
And have that same support, and we would negotiate what the involvement looked like and what the boundaries look like.
Yeah. I'm curious, and now you can answer this for yourselves, not necessarily for your other partners, but I'm sure there are moments of just pure chaos and moments where you're drowning and you're just like, what? And because I face this plenty in a lot of things, in podcasting, in non-monogamy, in other
Everything
things
in
that
life
I do.
gets hard.
Yeah, everything in life gets hard. And so there are moments sometimes where I just wonder, I'm like, why am I doing this again? Yeah. And so if those moments come up or when they do, whatever, what is your one, kind of centering or coping thing that you do or that you remind yourself or whatever it may be that kind of just brings you back to it?
I love you both. And I love that question. And I will tell you right now, I thank God every day that I am so fucking spiritual because I do not understand how people are out here raw dogging life. And I do not understand how people are raw dogging polyamory because this shit is so hard. And my spirituality is completely my answer to that question. Yeah. So when things get hard, I turn to my connection to my HP, my higher power, which is of kind of just the universe and my love story with the universe. So the things that bring me through any tough moment are, first of all, the belief that everything is here to help you, which is a Matt Kahn philosophy. Everything is here to help you.
Beautiful.
And my favorite line from the Tao Te Ching, is the 10,000 things rise and fall while the self watches their return. So when life is really hard, I just remember that what is hard is the rising and falling of the 10,000 things. And the self is capital S. And so when the 10,000 things are rising and falling and it's fucking my grill, I just pull back and remember that the self is the one that is watching. And I just try to remember that. Somebody told me a quote the other day that made me cry. It reminded me similar to this quote from the Tao, which is, welcome to the world. Good things and bad things will happen here. Do not be afraid.
I love that. That is beautiful.
But it's true. Yeah.
You know, it's so funny. I did Reiki not long ago, and the girl was like, she was like, the Tao, something keeps coming up. Maybe there's a quote that you need to like. The second you said that, I was like, holy shit, is it my Reiki girl? Was this what she was talking about? Thank you. And I love that. That's beautiful. My spirituality is usually what gets me back. Usually, like, it's me and my tarot cards, and like when I'm feeling really low, I will go on my rooftop, or like overwhelmed or whatever, and whatever it is that I'm doing, I'll go on my rooftop with my little tarot cards and I'll just talk to the universe. And sometimes it's just so amazing, kind of like the, you know, poetic things that kind of flow through me in those moments, and they're very centering, and I love it. So
yeah, I'm always trying to extract the medicine from everything. And I definitely understand, like, maybe this is a coping mechanism. Maybe nihilism is a thing and none of this matters and it's all fucking made up. And I'm just telling myself a story that there's a medicine in this situation. That's fine with me. I'm still going to extract the medicine from a difficult situation and try to remember that this too shall pass. Yeah. 10,000 things. My husband will look at me in a really hard moment and he'll just say, babe, the 10,000 things.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Now, Mr. Scientist.
I know. I was like, I can't wait for his
that's
answer.
a hard one to follow up on.
If it's a cup of tea, that's totally fine. Let's hear it.
No, so,
you know what?
Yeah.
It is a cup of tea.
It is. Yeah.
You are a tea man. He's got all kinds of crazy tea ceremonies.
Yeah. No, but I don't know. I very much see it kind of intertwines, and it's kind of a spirituality.
Okay.
In the sense that I see our existence in the universe as this very fascinating, swirling, complex pattern that's evolving. It's a complex, it's a pattern of chemical reactions and a pattern of things moving through this energy topology, if we want to pull the sciencey part into it.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to watch and to see the complexity of it all. And so from that aspect, I guess that is where I go to this kind of positive existentialism of getting to observe this fascinating dance and to be part of it. And just wanting to see that through.
Yeah.
And see what the pattern is and where it goes.
That's spiritual as fuck.
Yeah. That's what I tell him all the time. I'm like,
agree.
baby, that's so spiritual.
I love that we're, branding it as scientific, and I'm totally with you on that. And I do think there's a lot of correlation between the two, but I digress. But yeah, I love that. Both of those are great answers. Thank you for that.
What would you say has been, especially like, I don't know, because, we have a very hetero mononormative society. What has been like maybe the toughest challenge in like, having your polycule and your family? And it's like, I'm assuming you have your community of like fellow non-monogamists and, people that live outside of, the heteronormative, but like, when having to be in that world, like
what's been the toughest?
Like literally in our local world or online as a famous polyamorous
both.
fan?
Either both.
I haven't experienced, I very much live in a bubble, which is a privilege. It is a privilege to have a bubble such that I'm always reminded that, oh shit, people think we're weird. I forget that we're weird. So I haven't experienced much yet because my kids are so young and half of their lives were in a pandemic and in quarantine, and there was no venturing out. It was only very recently that my kid was doing a hobby where I suddenly got this flush of like, oh, will the other parents like not let their kids be friends with my kid if they found out? And I haven't experienced it, and I definitely walk around with this air of I don't know if you've like heard of this. It's called the curse of knowledge, where like the more knowledgeable you become in something, you forget that other people are not knowledgeable, and you can no longer relate to the ignorance.
Oh, 100%. That's like me with, and that's how it was with non-monogamy for so long.
Yeah.
I'm like, I forget monogamy exists.
Yes.
Like someone was like,
Yeah.
you know, they had this dilemma that they were talking to me about it once, and I was like, well, just date both of them, and then, you know, or like have sex with both of them, and then they were like, you can't do that, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, so it's called the curse of knowledge. It's a phenomenon. A funny story about that, I have a co-work space. That's where I work. And I love it. They're the best co-work space in Reno. And there was an 8-week incubator program for productivity where you come up with a project and then you're supposed to present it at the end. And so everyone was like, I tried to learn to budget. I worked on coding this app. And then for my presentation, I was like, I made an online course called How to Throw a Sex Party Even a Neurodivergent Demisexual First Timer Will Love. And it was silent and awkward, and I forgot that it was weird.
Okay, but I love that course.
Yeah, can I see that
I was gonna
PowerPoint?
say, can I see it? Because I think that's great.
It's such a great course, and it's so funny.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of that course, but it was very uncomfortable, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
right. You were coding an app, and I made a sex party course, and I just completely forgot that it was weird. So anyway, I'm just now kind of experiencing and trying to remember that my kids might face discrimination, and you know, how are we going to deal with that? It hasn't quite happened yet, and he goes to a school that's very progressive, and the other families I know there are queer and non-monogamous. So we haven't quite experienced that. At least online, the hardest thing has just been the assumption, first of all, that non-monogamous parents don't have normal boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
It's very offensive and also weird because I'm like, you're projecting that. So that actually says a lot of creepy things about you, that you think that we're having orgies in our living room.
Yeah.
Like, we have normal boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what that is.
I think people, whenever someone sees someone as like, you know, sex positive, they immediately just like take it to that extreme. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Why would you have
Yeah.
an orgy in the middle of your living room? It's just,
Yeah. And they also think we're bringing partners in and out of our kids' life. But I'm like, okay, but there are moms and dads who just went through divorces and are dating, and you're not accusing them of that. And some of them are doing that, you know,
Yeah, I know, it's the
but you're
same
not
thing.
assuming it.
Yeah.
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 So it's just hard that people assume that we don't have boundaries, that they assume that our kids are really fucked up. And, you know, I know a lot of fucked up kids from monogamous nuclear families.
Exactly.
Damn. Yeah.
It's like, just, you're doing your best. And
Everyone's
it sounds
doing
like
their
there's
best.
a lot of love. So it's like, why would they have to worry, you know?
There's not only a lot of love, there is so much emotional intelligence. My kids are so emotionally intelligent.
I love that.
It's beautiful, and they have incredible communication skills. And so when people are like, your kids are going to need therapy, it's like, yes, of course, we're all going to need therapy, and that shouldn't be stigmatized, but also fuck you, because my kids have way more skills than your kids have, so shut the fuck up.
I
It's gonna
needed
be
therapy
okay.
and my
Take a deep
parents were
breath.
monogamous, so.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Oh, just so her 6-year-old the other day broke a tiara and was so upset. And
Yeah, he had wanted a tiara.
Yeah, it was
He
really-
needed a princess
was
crown, and he finally got
so
one, and then he
upset.
broke it. Yeah.
and our 3-year-old goes, "Turkey boy, it's gonna be okay. Take a deep breath."
Take a deep breath, Tookie. It was
the cutest
so
thing
cute.
you've ever seen.
Yeah, it was really, really
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah, we all are super just into emotional intelligence, super into nonviolent communication.
Love
we
that.
say that's my religion.
Yeah.
I had to pick one.
Yeah.
So and so the kids get a lot of talking about how we regulate our emotions and what our feelings are and how we identify them. And so, yeah, we're, I'm sure there's monogamous parents who are just as aware of that, but we need to use it as an operating system and a code for us to work on a day-to-day basis. It has to be there, and so they get exposed to that. That's part of the water they swim in.
Yeah.
We grew up with parents that yelled at each other nonstop, and I'll never forget the moment where we were, this wasn't that long ago. I'll never forget one time Cami and I were in the car and we were just watching our parents fight. And then I turned to her and I looked at her and I was like, that is exactly how we fight. We are starting therapy the moment we get home. And so I got us a joint therapist that we started seeing so that we could work on fighting better because we fought exactly the way that they did.
Wow.
So,
Which
yeah.
just makes that comment on your comment section null and void when people are like, well, your kids are going to need therapy because they have 4 parents that love them. Oh, God.
Like we had
What a
two.
tragedy.
Yeah, we had 2 and we still had to go to therapy. So yeah.
And our kids know how to feel their emotions. They're given space to feel their emotions, and then they are taught how to derive the need from the emotion. So you have an emotion. What is your need? And can you communicate that to your care team?
I love that.
I need to practice that. Okay,
It's
hold
so
on.
hard.
I know, like,
lifelong
I'm
journey,
30,
right?
I don't know if I can do it.
It's nonviolent communication, and this one is a nonviolent communication wizard, and it's amazing. You only need one person in any given moment to be grounded in nonviolent communication for it to work.
Yeah.
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 We need who's going to be grounded.
What was that? What did you just say? How to derive the need from the emotion?
Yeah, so
and
you
how are
are-
you going to communicate that to your care team?
Yeah. You are having an emotion. That emotion, you're triggered, right? You are triggered because you have a need that's not being met. So can you find the need that's not being met, and can you form it into a request that isn't a judgment about the other person? Like, you're failing to show up for me. No, it's not you're failing to show up for me. It's I am needing some connection from you, and I think that connection might look like this. Is that something you're able to do?
Make a clip of that.
I
And then I'm going to
absolutely
watch that every day.
It's so freeing
Yeah.
to realize, these emotions are important and you need to feel them. You can't throw them away. But
Yeah.
it's so freeing to know that you're not a slave to them, that they're just messages.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
that's a
that-
great. I love that. Yeah, you're not a slave to your emotions. To your emotions, they're a message. I love that.
Yep.
I'm going to apply that to my emotional.
I'm learning
as well.
so much.
I'm learning a lot.
This is our autistic, like, we could info dump on this for another 3 hours. Have you read Nonviolent Communication?
No.
Okay.
I'll write that down.
Read Nonviolent Communication at the same time.
Okay.
And then have a little book club meeting where you talk about it, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. And maybe
yeah.
if you really like somatic stuff.
Yeah, she does
and,
somatic therapy.
Mindfulness, then Oren Sofer's book, Say What You Mean, is a good follow-on to that.
Yes. That's the holy grail. Put those two things together, somatic, like, wisdom and knowing and processing with nonviolent communication, and you will be fine.
Love that. You guys are a wealth of knowledge. Thank you for coming on the show.
This is a fucking blast.
We
It's such a blast.
have it is such a treat to have you here, and I'm so glad that this has worked out. Where can our audience find you?
Yeah, so
If you'd like to plug yourself.
please do. I love to plug myself.
And be plugged.
I sure do. I'm mostly on Instagram and TikTok. Well, RIP TikTok. God.
Yeah,
what
I
the
know.
fuck? At Remodeled Love on everything. Instagram. We have a Patreon, which is how we pay our bills. And so we have almost 3 years of exclusive content on our Patreon. And so please join that if you want to support us. I'm working on migrating to YouTube. That's taking forever. Our podcast is a hit. My background's in radio. Don't know if you could tell.
No, 100%. You're a great speaker. Yeah.
Thank you. And so I'm really proud of our podcast. It's really fun. That's also Remodeled Love. I think the most important thing I'd like to plug is my app. Have you heard about our app?
Wait, yes.
Oh.
Your dating app, right?
No, it's not a dating
No,
app.
not dating. No, sorry.
It's a village building app.
That's what it was.
So
I
it's
was like,
called Nuclear Fusion.
Yep.
The slogan is "It takes a village." And so last summer, I launched a Kickstarter to fund an idea for an app I had called Nuclear Fusion, which will help folks find, build, and sustain modern villages.
I love that.
And so I didn't think, I was like, it's a good idea. Let me get it out here, fail the Kickstarter, and then I can move on with my life. But we did not fail the Kickstarter. We actually, we surpassed our goal. And so we are almost at the end of phase 2 of our build. It's really exciting. The UI UX is almost done. And then we will be funding phase 3, which is the coding phase. And then it will be out there in the world. And this app will not only introduce you to people, it's basically an app to build a chosen family.
You are ahead of your time, but I
Yeah.
love that.
Thank you.
You 100%.
Well,
Yeah.
You know, let me just say that the only reason the village was dissolved is because of capitalism, colonialism, and white supremacy. And so this
And
is all
farming.
village.
Yeah.
You know, all the village wisdom is not new, and it's the least I can do as a person with privilege to help bring us back to the way that it has always been done by Indigenous folks. And so
I think
trying
it
to
will go
dismantle-
back to that. Yeah.
It has to. Well, and capitalism is the death of itself anyway.
Well, if you follow astrology with like Pluto moving into Aquarius, 100%.
It is, and this app has so much favor over it. It's So we are trying, and if you would like to donate, we are currently crowdfunding phase 3 so that we don't have to go after investors. Although if you are an investor and want to just give me the money for phase 3, we can talk about that. So yeah, you can just check out nuclearfusionapp.org.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I
Thank you for the work that you
apologize.
do.
I knew it wasn't. I was trying to figure out. Someone just launched a dating app, and then I was like, "Wait, no, I know you have your app," and I was trying to remember. But yeah,
But it kind of it's like the blend of it functions like a dating app in the sense that we're going to introduce you to people who are looking for the same thing you're looking for. But in this case, it's to form chosen family and mutual aid networks. And our goal is to decommodify care.
Yeah.
So instead of having to go to care.com to find someone to tutor your kid or water your plants while you're gone, instead you form chosen families.
Love that.
yeah.
Well, thank you guys again for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank
What
you so much.
do you want to be plugged? Oh wait, no, no. Okay, hold on.
Actually,
I'm
yes.
not to.
He's like, well,
But I don't have
and
anything to advertise,
scene.
so
That's okay.
Thank you.
But yeah, and we'll add that all in the episode description as well.
Thank you.
But yeah, if you want to continue with our normal.
well, you know where you can find us, doubleteampodcast.com. All relevant links are there. And yeah, Double Team Podcast and at Kimmy and Nikki on Instagram. My personal diary at Double Team Pod on Twitter. TikTok, it's still alive right now. Double Team Podcast. And wear condoms.
We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.
But not if you like cream pies. I love cream pies. I
in that case, get
love
tested.
cream pies. Yes.
Yeah.
It's